The notification pinged relentlessly on Cooper's phone at 3 a.m., pulling him from a restless sleep in his sleek Los Angeles penthouse. Breaking, pop star Cooper's secret gay photo leaked. "Fans in shock," screamed the tabloid headline, accompanied by a blurry but unmistakable image of him and Carson sharing a tender kiss outside a discreet downtown restaurant the night before. Cooper's heart slammed against his ribs as he sat bolt upright, the screen's cold glow illuminating the panic etched across his face. This cannot be happening. They had been so careful for 2 years, stealing moments in hidden corners of the city, always checking for cameras, always leaving separately. Now everything he had built, the screaming crowds, the sold-out arenas, the carefully crafted image of the charming straight heartthrob, was crumbling in real time. He scrolled frantically, watching the photos spread like wildfire across every platform. Comments poured in by the thousands, some flooding with support from the LGBTQ community, others laced with venom that made his stomach turn. "Fake idol," one read. "Traitor to his fans." His manager, Elena, was already calling, her voice sharp through the speaker. "Cooper, get dressed. I'm downstairs in 5. We have to contain this before the morning shows." But even as he threw on jeans and a hoodie, his hand shook. Carson's name flashed on the screen next, and Cooper answered on the first ring. "Babe, I'm so sorry," Carson said, his voice steady but tight with worry. "I swear I didn't see anyone following us. What do we do now?" Carson, the freelance photographer who had captured Cooper's heart during a quiet studio session 2 years earlier, had always been the calm one, the one who never pushed for public recognition. Tonight, that calm felt like the only anchor left. By sunrise, the penthouse was chaos. Elena paced the living room, tablet in hand, showing him the numbers that made no sense. Pre-orders for his new album Hidden Hearts had already doubled, then tripled. "The controversy is going viral in a way we never planned," she said, "but the label is panicking. Sponsors are threatening to pull out. Your father left 3 voicemails." Cooper's chest tightened at the mention of his dad back in Texas. The retired military man had never understood his son's artistic phase, let alone this. He could already picture the disappointment in those stern eyes, the silence that would follow any explanation. Friends from the industry texted mixed messages, some offering support, others suddenly too busy to reply. The weight of it all pressed down, forcing him to confront the truth he had buried for years. He was in love with a man, and hiding it had just become impossible. Carson arrived an hour later, slipping through the service entrance to avoid the growing crowd of paparazzi outside. They met in the kitchen, the morning light slicing through the blinds. "I never wanted this for you," Carson whispered, pulling Cooper into a hug that felt both safe and terrifying. "If you need to deny everything, I'll understand." But Cooper shook his head, the decision already forming in his gut, even as fear clawed at him. Denying Carson would be like denying himself. And after years of living half a life on stage, he wasn't sure he could do it anymore. The leaked photo had ripped open the door he had kept locked, and now the world was staring inside. Elena interrupted with more updates, her tone shifting from crisis mode to cautious optimism. "The streaming numbers are insane. People are talking about the album in every thread. This could be the push we needed, but only if you decide how to respond." Cooper looked at Carson, then at the city skyline beyond the windows, and felt the first stirrings of something new, something that tasted like freedom even as it scared him to death. The rest of the day blurred into meetings and strategy calls. His publicist suggested a vague statement about privacy, but Cooper kept replaying the kiss in his mind, the way Carson's hand had rested gently on his back, the quiet laugh they shared right before the flash must have gone off. That moment had been real, the most real thing in his carefully curated world. By evening, as the sun dipped behind the Hollywood hills, Cooper sat on the balcony with Carson, the distant hum of traffic below mirroring the storm inside him. "Whatever happens," Carson said softly, "I'm here. Not as a secret, not as a risk, but as me." Those words settled something deep in Cooper's chest, a quiet resolve that pushed back against the panic. The leaked photo had shattered the illusion, but maybe, just maybe, it had also cracked open the door to a life he had been too afraid to claim. The album's rising numbers felt like a strange kind of validation, proof that authenticity could resonate even when the world wasn't ready. Yet the real test was only beginning, because tomorrow the interviews would start, the family calls would intensify, and every choice from here would carry consequences he could no longer hide from. For the first time in years, Cooper felt truly seen, and that visibility, terrifying as it was, carried a spark of hope he hadn't known he needed. The next morning the headlines had multiplied. Cooper woke to Elena's urgent knock, her face pale as she thrust a stack of printouts at him. The label wants a statement by noon. They're split. Half think this will tank your tour. The other half sees dollar signs. He read the articles aloud to Carson over coffee, each word landing like a punch. One conservative outlet called it the end of a promising career, while a popular entertainment blog praised the bravery. Carson listened quietly, his photographers scanning the images they had chosen to run, the ones that captured the tenderness without mercy. They twisted it, he said finally. That kiss was private, not a publicity stunt. The betrayal of their moment being commodified stung deeper than Cooper expected, stirring anger that mixed with the fear still churning in his stomach. They spent the morning drafting responses, discarding one after another. Cooper's phone buzzed constantly, friends from his small Texas hometown sending messages that ranged from confused to outright hostile. His sister texted a simple heart emoji, but his father's voicemail played on loop in his mind. Son, call me. We need to talk about this mess. The pressure from family felt heavier than the industry backlash. Growing up, Cooper had learned to perform straightness like a second skin, dating girls for appearances, smiling through questions about marriage. Carson had been the first person who saw through all of it, the first who made him want to drop the act. Now that act was gone, and the boy from Texas who once dreamed of stages was facing the man he had become in Los Angeles, a man in love with another man. Elena arranged a video call with the label executives. Look, the streaming is through the roof, one said, voice crackling with excitement. Hidden Hearts is trending #1 in 3 countries already. But we need you to own this or deny it clean. No middle ground. Cooper glanced at Carson sitting just off camera, then back at the screen. I'm not denying anything, he said, the words surprising even himself. The room went silent. Elena's eyes widened, but she nodded slowly, already shifting into damage control mode. After the call ended, she pulled him aside. This is brave, Cooper, but it could cost you everything we've built. Are you sure? He wasn't sure, not entirely, but the alternative, living another year in shadows, felt worse. Carson squeezed his hand when they were alone again. Whatever you choose, we'll face it together. But if you're doing this for me, don't. Do it for you. The afternoon brought the first interview request from a major morning show. Cooper agreed, heart pounding, and spent hours rehearsing with Carson in the living room. They practiced answers about their relationship, how it started during a late-night photo shoot when Carson captured a candid moment of Cooper singing to himself, how the secrecy had protected them until it didn't. Carson's calm presence grounded him, reminding him that love wasn't the scandal, fear was. By late afternoon, the paparazzi had doubled outside, shouting questions as Cooper stepped onto the balcony for fresh air. One photographer caught a clear shot of Carson standing beside him, and the flash made Cooper flinch. This is our life now, he murmured. Carson nodded. Then let's make it ours, not theirs. That evening they escaped to Carson's modest apartment in Silver Lake, a place far from the penthouse spotlight. Over takeout and quiet conversation, Cooper opened up about the identity crisis he had buried since high school, the nights he spent questioning if his feelings made him less of a man, less of an artist. Carson shared his own story of coming out to a supportive family in Oregon, the freedom that followed. Their stories wove together, strengthening the bond the leak had threatened. Yet doubt lingered. Cooper's best friend Marcus, a fellow songwriter, called to warn him about industry whispers of dropped collaborations. They're scared, man. Give them time. The call ended with Marcus promising to stand by him, a small but vital lifeline. As night fell, Cooper lay awake beside Carson, the city lights filtering through the curtains. The album's success felt surreal, notifications showing sales climbing every hour. It was as if the world was punishing him and rewarding him in the same breath. The leaked photo had forced a reckoning, stripping away the comfortable lies and leaving him raw. But in that rawness, he found clarity. He would face the interviews, the family confrontation, the public judgment. He would choose Carson openly, not as a secret, but as a partner. The decision brought a strange peace, even as anxiety gnawed at the edges. Tomorrow would bring more storms, but for the first time, Cooper felt ready to stand in the rain, hand in hand with the man who had helped him find his true voice. The journey ahead was uncertain, but it was finally his own. The morning show interview aired live, and Cooper's hands trembled slightly under the studio lights as he sat across from the host. "Cooper, the photo that leaked has everyone talking. Care to set the record straight?" The question hung in the air, cameras zooming in. He took a breath, feeling Carson's supportive text still warm in his pocket. "There's nothing to set straight. Carson is my partner, and I'm proud of that." The studio audience gasped, then erupted in applause mixed with a few boos that the producers quickly muted. Backstage, Elena paced, phone glued to her ear. "The internet is exploding, but in a good way. Sales just hit another record." Yet the victory tasted bittersweet when his father's call came through immediately after. "Son, what have you done?" The voice was heavy with disappointment, the same tone Cooper remembered from childhood arguments about sports versus music. "This isn't you. Come home. We'll figure it out." Cooper hung up, chest aching, the family rift widening into a chasm he wasn't sure how to bridge. Carson met him outside the studio, pulling him into a quick embrace away from the lenses. "You were incredible," he whispered. But the day brought more tests. A close friend from his early career days, a singer named Riley, texted to cancel a planned duet, citing creative differences. The betrayal stung, revealing how fragile some friendships were when reputation was on the line. Cooper spent the afternoon in the studio alone, channeling the hurt into new lyrics about hidden truths and broken trust. Carson joined later, offering quiet encouragement as he snapped candid photos. The shutter clicks, a comforting rhythm. "This is material for the next album," he joked gently, easing the tension. Their laughter felt like a small rebellion against the chaos. By evening, the backlash intensified. Protests formed outside the label headquarters, some fans burning posters of Cooper's face while others held signs of support. Elena called with damage reports. 2 sponsors had pulled out, but 3 new ones had approached, drawn by the authenticity. "You're trending for all the right reasons now," she said, but her voice carried caution. Cooper and Carson retreated to a quiet rooftop bar with Marcus, who had flown in from New York. Over drinks, Marcus shared his own coming-out story from years ago, the loss of family ties that still hurt but led to deeper self-acceptance. "You're not alone in this," he told Cooper, "but it will test everything, including your relationship." Carson nodded, his hand finding Cooper's under the table. The conversation turned to sacrifices, the times Carson had stepped back to protect Cooper's image, the nights they spent apart to avoid suspicion. Now those sacrifices were public, and the emotional toll showed in Carson's tired eyes. The next day brought a family video call Cooper had been dreading. His mother cried, his sister offered quiet support, but his father sat stone-faced. "I raised you better than this," he said flatly. The words cut deep, reopening old wounds of conditional love. Cooper defended himself, voice steady for the first time. "This is who I am, Dad. Hiding nearly destroyed me." The call ended in silence, leaving him drained. Carson listened without judgment, then suggested a walk in Griffith Park to clear their heads. As they hiked the trails, Carson opened up about his fears of becoming a liability. "I love you, but if this costs you your dream, I don't know if I can live with that." The honesty sparked a heated discussion, misunderstandings rising as Cooper accused Carson of doubting his commitment. They argued under the shade of an old oak, voices rising until tears replaced anger. In the end, they held each other, the conflict revealing deeper layers of their bond, the need for mutual strength. That night back at the penthouse, Cooper received an unexpected email from a major LGBTQ organization inviting him to speak at their upcoming gala. The opportunity felt like a turning point, a chance to transform the scandal into advocacy. Elena was thrilled, already planning media around it. But doubt lingered as Cooper stared at the leaked photo, still circulating online. The image that had caused so much pain was now a catalyst for growth, forcing him to confront every layer of his identity. Carson watched him from the doorway, a soft smile breaking through. "You're changing lives already. You know that?" The words warmed Cooper, reminding him that the journey was not just about survival, but about becoming someone who could stand tall. The album continued its record-breaking climb, a strange silver lining that proved the world was more complex than the headline suggested. Yet the internal crisis deepened, testing friendships, family ties, and the love that started it all. Cooper knew the hardest choices were still ahead, but with Carson beside him, he felt the first real hope that he could face them without losing himself. The gala invitation led to weeks of preparation that tested Cooper's resolve. Rehearsals for his speech overlapped with album promotion, and the constant media scrutiny wore on both him and Carson. One evening after a long day, Carson returned home to find Cooper pacing, frustration evident. "The label wants me to tone down the personal stuff," Cooper said. "They think it's too much too soon." Carson's response was measured but firm. "You've come this far by being honest. Don't let them pull you back into the closet." The conversation escalated into their first major fight since the leak, accusations flying about who was really sacrificing more. Carson stormed out, leaving Cooper alone with the silence and regret. Hours later, Carson returned with flowers, apologizing for the pressure he had placed on Cooper. "I just don't want you to lose who you are because of me." The reconciliation brought them closer, revealing the cracks that fame and secrecy had created over the years. Meanwhile, a surprising betrayal surfaced. Riley, the friend who had canceled the duet, admitted in a private message that he had tipped off the paparazzi months earlier out of jealousy over Cooper's rising success. "I thought it would slow you down," Riley confessed over a tense coffee meeting. "I was wrong." The revelation shattered Cooper, the sting of broken trust deepening his crisis of identity. How many people had he surrounded himself with who only saw him as a brand? Marcus flew back to offer support, helping Cooper process the pain through songwriting sessions that produced raw tracks about loyalty and forgiveness. Carson stayed steady, reminding him that true friends remained. The emotional toll showed in Cooper's performances, his voice carrying new depth that fans noticed and celebrated online. Family tensions peaked when his father unexpectedly flew to Los Angeles. The meeting at the penthouse was awkward at first, years of unspoken words hanging between them. "I don't understand it," his dad admitted, "but I see how happy you look with him." Carson joined them for dinner, the conversation stilted but honest. Small steps toward acceptance emerged, though full reconciliation felt distant. The visit forced Cooper to confront his own prejudices about his upbringing, the internalized shame he had carried. That night he broke down with Carson, the tears releasing years of suppressed pain. "I thought I'd lose everything," he whispered. Carson held him close. "You gained yourself." The album's success continued unabated, breaking streaming records daily. Interviews poured in, each one peeling back another layer of Cooper's story. He spoke openly about the identity crisis that began in high school, the fear of disappointing his family, the joy of finding Carson. Public opinion shifted gradually, with more supporters than critics. Yet the pressure mounted as a rival label offered a massive deal if he distanced himself from the LGBTQ narrative. The temptation was real, a chance to return to safer waters, but Cooper refused, the decision marking a pivotal growth moment. Carson celebrated with a quiet dinner at home, toasting to courage. Their relationship deepened through the trials, misunderstandings giving way to stronger communication. As the month ended, Cooper faced another crossroads when the tour dates were announced. Some venues threatened cancellation due to the controversy. Elena worked tirelessly to secure alternatives, but the uncertainty weighed heavily. Carson suggested a short getaway to recharge, and they drove up the coast to a secluded cabin. There, away from the noise, they talked about the future, the possibility of marriage one day, the family they might build. The conversation healed old wounds, reinforcing their commitment. Back in the city, Cooper returned renewed, ready for the next phase. The leaked photo that started it all had evolved from scandal to symbol of resilience. Friendships were tested and some lost, but the ones that remained grew stronger. Family bonds strained, but showed signs of mending. Through it all, Cooper's emotional journey continued, each choice shaping the man he was becoming, a man unafraid to love openly in a world that still demanded conformity. Tour preparations brought new challenges as venues in conservative cities pulled out, forcing last-minute changes that strained the team's patience. Cooper stood firm, refusing to compromise his message. "If they can't accept me, they can't have the show," he told Elena, the decision born from months of internal growth. Carson supported him fully, even offering to join the tour as an unofficial photographer to document the journey. The idea sparked excitement, a way to integrate their lives publicly. Yet doubt crept in during late-night rehearsals when exhaustion hit. "What if this is too much for us?" Cooper asked one evening. Carson's answer was simple. "We'll figure out together like always." The reassurance helped, but the strain of constant visibility tested their patience in new ways. A misunderstanding arose when tabloids published photos of Carson talking closely with an old college friend, twisting it into rumors of infidelity. Cooper confronted him angrily, old insecurities surfacing. "After everything, you let this happen?" The argument lasted hours, both men voicing fears they had buried. Carson explained it was innocent, but the hurt lingered until they sat down with a counselor recommended by Marcus. The sessions uncovered deeper issues of trust eroded by years of secrecy. Healing began, slow and honest, strengthening their foundation. The experience taught Cooper that love required work, not just passion. Meanwhile, the album continued its historic run, now certified platinum in record time, proving the scandal had become a phenomenon. Family progress came unexpectedly when his sister visited with their mother. The women embraced Carson warmly, sharing stories that humanized the relationship. His father sent a short text afterward. "Proud of your courage, son." The words, though brief, lifted a weight Cooper had carried for decades. The reconciliation was imperfect but real, marking another step in his emotional maturation. On stage during a small warm-up show, Cooper dedicated a song to Carson, the crowd cheering as the spotlight found his partner in the wings. The moment felt like victory, a public declaration that healed old wounds. Yet the peak crisis arrived when a major sponsor offered to return if Cooper issued a vague apology for the confusion. The money could save several tour dates, but accepting meant betraying his truth. He discussed it with Carson late into the night, weighing sacrifice against integrity. "I can't go back," Cooper said finally. The decision cost them financially, but gained respect from fans and critics alike. Carson stood by him, sacrificing his own freelance stability to travel full-time. Their partnership evolved through the fire, misunderstandings replaced by deeper empathy. Marcus organized a support network of LGBTQ artists, providing community that combated isolation. As the tour launched in Los Angeles, Cooper stepped on stage with Carson visible in the front row. The performance carried new energy, lyrics resonating with personal truth. Backstage afterward, they celebrated quietly, reflecting on the journey from leaked photo to sold-out arena. The identity crisis had transformed into empowerment, the pressure into purpose. Family, friends, and society had all challenged them, but each confrontation forged resilience. Cooper realized the growth wasn't just surviving the scandal, but emerging stronger, more authentic. The album's ongoing success felt secondary to the personal victory of choosing love openly. Yet the road ahead still held unknowns, the balance of fame and private happiness requiring constant vigilance. Through it all, Carson remained his anchor, their bond a testament to love's power to heal and elevate. The tour crossed the country, each city bringing new crowds and new conversations. In Chicago, a young fan approached Carson after the show, sharing how Cooper's story helped him come out to his parents. The moment moved them both, turning the spotlight's glare into something meaningful. Cooper began incorporating more personal stories into performances, the audience responding with overwhelming support. Elena reported record-breaking attendance. The leaked photo, now a distant memory, replaced by celebration. Yet success brought fresh pressures, invitations to endorse products clashing with his desire for privacy. Carson gently reminded him to set boundaries. Their partnership, now a team effort in navigating fame. A final family gathering in Texas during a tour break tested the progress. His father attended the local show, sitting quietly in the audience. Afterward, over dinner, he admitted his initial reaction stemmed from fear, not hatred. "I just wanted you safe," he said. The conversation opened doors long closed, forgiveness flowing as Cooper shared his journey. Carson fit seamlessly, the family slowly embracing the reality. The healing felt complete in its imperfection, allowing Cooper to release the last remnants of shame. Back on the road, he wrote new material about redemption and second chances, the songs flowing effortlessly. As the final shows approached, Carson proposed during a quiet moment in New York, the city lights mirroring the sparkle in his eyes. Cooper said yes without hesitation, the ring a symbol of their shared growth. The engagement made headlines, but this time the coverage was positive, fans flooding social media with congratulations. The album's legacy continued, inspiring a documentary deal that would capture their story authentically. Through every high and low, the relationship had matured, misunderstandings giving way to unbreakable trust. On the last night of the tour, Cooper stood center stage, Carson beside him under the lights. "This journey started with a leak that broke everything open," he told the crowd. "But it led me to the best version of myself and the love of my life." The applause thundered, confetti falling as they kissed publicly for the first time. The moment encapsulated the emotional arc from crisis to triumph, the identity struggles resolved through courage and support. Friends like Marcus cheered from the wings. Family watched proudly online. Society shifting one fan at a time. Cooper had sacrificed secrecy for truth, endured betrayal and pressure, and awakened to a life without masks. In the quiet aftermath, as they drove home through the California night, Cooper reflected on how far they had come. The leaked photo had been the shock that forced change, the album's record-breaking success, the unexpected gift that proved authenticity wins. Their bond, forged in fire, stood stronger than ever. The journey of two men loving each other had touched countless lives, proving that personal growth ripples outward. Yet questions remained about the balance of public and private, the ongoing fight against prejudice. As they pulled into the driveway, hands intertwined, Cooper smiled at Carson. The future stretched bright and uncertain, but they would face it together. True or false? A single leaked photo can destroy a man's career and simultaneously become the catalyst that saves his soul.